Probably not for this one. I'm probably gonna have Tim sit there. Okay.
I'm not important.
I'm gonna wait like 2 minutes, I
I'm
think.
just here to look. I'm just here to look.
We'll start in about 2 minutes, just so we can let anybody else that's like struggling to just come in, and then I'll talk.
I have my gorgeous.
What? Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. How could you say something so brave yet so... I love that show.
I'll kill you.
What's happening? If you start T-posing, I'm kicking you out of my panel. I will call security. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone. My name is Mac. My character's name is Bogoat. I am someone who has overcome a lot of mental hurdles, and social anxiety being one of them. We're going to sort of cover a lot during this. I'm going to start out with my personal story on how I overcame social anxiety, and after that I'm going to go into some tips, such as like how to find support groups and different ways for you to get help from people, and then I'll end it off with the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please hold those off till the very end. Okay, so like I said, my name is Mac. I was born in a small town in Virginia, and I moved here when I was about 5. So I didn't have too many friends. My parents put me in a Catholic school, and I was sort of the odd kid out. I was pretty confident in myself back then in terms of orientation and everything, so that wasn't exactly super accepted there. So I started out my life in Florida with a lot of negative feedback from people, a lot of bullying. For 8 years that I was in this Catholic school, I was bullied pretty hard, actually, physically, verbally, but that's just part of my story. That's not who I am. That's sort of what helped me get to where I am. When I was 9 years old, I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and social anxiety disorder, which was pretty big for a 9-year-old. A lot of the kids didn't really understand that, and it sort of helped them find something else to pick on me for, which didn't help me socially either. It sort of made a lot of my problems get worse. So I grew up with not a lot of friends and had a really hard time connecting with people. And then later on, I think I was only 18 at the time, I ran into the Agents of Mirth. They invited me over for a little house party, and I was super, super nervous. I showed up, and there was nobody there that I knew whatsoever, and I was really awkwardly just sitting in the corner. And then this lovely lady, Molly here, came up and just started talking to me, and it was really cool because it felt like someone was there to support me. And she told me about all the events that the Agents of Mirth do. We actually have a panel on it tomorrow. It's a cosplay charity group that really has just changed my life. These guys, over the past 2 years that I've known them, have pushed me farther than I ever would have pushed myself, which has made me such a better person on all fronts. I can sit up here and talk to you guys now when 2 years ago I would have been a blubbering mess up here. I would have been in tears. And really, I think it was them that put me to where I am now. Like, most of what I can do, I think they're at fault for. Yeah, at fault. Because I realized that a lot of people do actually care and will listen if I want to talk. And that's sort of what I'm going to be talking about today, that it's okay to be scared, but you don't have to be. It's totally fine, and plenty of people feel the exact same way that you do. It's just how you handle it that really help you become a better person. So Molly's going to talk a little bit about how terrible I used to be.
He wasn't terrible, okay? The first time I met Mac, he was silent. He was a shy kid, just hanging out at the parties, and he never spoke. And I was just like, I don't know that guy. And I don't have social anxiety. I don't think I ever have. Now, see, I am someone with ADHD who's usually like, I talk too much and I'm kind of annoying. So I'm on the opposite side of having to back off rather than work up the courage to talk to people. So it was actually, he's downplaying himself a little bit. He was the one who realized he didn't want to sit there and be quiet. You know, no one's going to bring you out of your shell unless you're willing to work for that. And I remember when I first met him, someone came up to me and said that, hey, the new guy wants to talk to you. I thought he was hitting on me. No. I was just like, oh, okay. And so we start talking and everything, and he just gravitated towards me because I'm a social butterfly and I talk to everyone, and he wanted to learn how to do that. And he worked very hard, because in the beginning, man, this kid, he would get overwhelmed and he would just tense up and he would just sit there and just not speak for a while. And he hasn't done that in a long time, and I'm very proud. And he's worked very, very, very hard to come out of his shell, and now he's quite talkative. I mean, he's still shy at first, you know, we all are at some point, but he's worked his butt off for it. So it's not just that we dragged him out of his shell kicking and screaming, because no one can do that for you. If you're not willing to come out of your shell, it's never going to happen. But if you're willing to put yourself out there and be uncomfortable for a little while, you'd be amazed at the process you can make, or the progress.
Yeah.
The process is long, but the progress is great.
And what Molly said actually leads me into my first point. The biggest thing about overcoming your social anxiety and your mental hurdles is you are ultimately the one holding yourself back. And that may sound really, really harsh, but it's honestly the truth. And I had to realize that before I could sort of take my first steps. You have to realize that what you're feeling may not necessarily be 100% unique. You aren't alone. There are people out there that are more than happy to help you get out of your shell, like these guys helped with me. There's people out there that will listen to you. There's other people who have felt the exact same way that you have, like Bio here. Bio showed up around the same time I did, and now we're some of the best friends on the planet. We go to events with each other all the time. We party on the weekends. And he used to be really, really similar to I am, and we've both made a lot of progress over the last 2 years.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, really, it's just recognizing that you're not alone. You are holding yourself back by not putting yourself out and just trying, which is my second point, just trying. One of the biggest things is, because you're holding yourself back, you're scared to try. But you never know if you don't try. You're never going to know if someone is going to be one of the best friends you've met in your entire life if you don't just talk to them, if you don't just go to that party, if you don't just go to that con, if you don't just talk to someone. So really, it's hard to step out of your shell, and trust me, I know it is. It can seem like everyone's just not going to like you immediately. Everyone's just not going to care about what you have to say, and that's not the truth at all. So many people care so much about what you have to say, you just have to find them. And finding them is hard, but it is well worth it. Just sort of getting out and doing it yourself not only helps you, but shows a lot of other people how strong you really are. Because social anxiety is one of the most common things on the planet, and it's really, really scary. I'm not gonna lie, I'm absolutely terrified right now. There's a lot of people in this room, like a lot more than I expected, and it's hard to talk up here, but I'm pushing myself to do it. Part of getting over your social anxiety is stretching yourself a little bit more every day. You may think you can't do something because it's hard and you have this social anxiety, but that's not the case. You can do it. You have that strength inside of you. You just need to pull it out, basically. It's really scary and it's really hard, but you can do it. Sorry, I'm getting like really emotional. Wow.
I mean, I think like the amount of people in this room is evidence that you guys are not alone. I mean, if you look to your left, look to your right, look in front of you, look behind you.
Yeah, everyone here.
It's like, I have social anxiety and I'm terrified to talk to my friends.
Got the same problem, yeah. The important thing is that you guys have to be willing to take a risk, you know. You have to stop worrying about things, about how someone's going to think about you, you know, what they might say about me, and maybe I might come off as a creep. You have to be willing to take the risk to do that. It was actually Molly, ironically enough, who brought me into the Agents of Mirth after one of our agents things didn't pan out the way we thought it would. But yeah, it was the exact same way as Mac. I brought in my camera, I didn't know who to talk to people, and then she kind of followed in with, hey, this is Bio, he does film stuff and whatnot, and it kind of took off from there. But I was literally not going to go to that Agents of Mirth meeting when it happened, when it turned out that it was canceled. I thought, you know, maybe it might be a waste of time, maybe I won't get along with anybody, but I took the risk anyway and drove up there to see you guys, and now I have some of the closest friends that I've ever had in the longest time, and I can't say that about anything the last couple of years, so you have to be willing to take a risk to meet people and get over the anxiety that you're feeling.
Yeah, the second you start taking those risks and really pushing yourself, no matter how hard it is, you can do it, and it is so worth it, honestly, because you'll be really surprised by how many people will actually care, like, will understand what you're feeling and will help you a lot, will sit there and listen to you, actually care, and will carry on a full conversation with you about just nothing. A lot of social anxiety is being scared that you're going to say the wrong thing and just upset someone. And that's really scary. You want people to like you. That's one of the core things about it. It's hard because you want people to like you and you want them to like the things that you say. But not everyone's gonna like you, and that's totally okay. If someone doesn't like you, that's their problem. And that's really hard to realize. It may really suck because you feel like you've failed, like this social anxiety has caused this, but it's not you whatsoever. It is that person. The people that care will always be there. You just have to find them. Finding your support group is one of the biggest things about this. The second that you start pushing yourself and you're getting out there and everything, you will, and I guarantee you, will find at least 2 people that will become some of the best friends in your life just because they'll listen, just because they'll talk with you, just because they'll carry on that easy conversation for them. The next thing I'm going to talk about is not letting other people hold you down. So it's really scary because, like I said, you feel like people aren't going to like you based on what you say. And that can be true. Some people won't like you, but what's the worst they're going to do? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, not talk to you, that's fine. You can find someone else. It's scary and it's hard, and it can be very daunting to sort of try to talk to someone. But the results of talking to someone really pay off. Just sort of stepping out of your shell and doing it. It's a just do it situation. It's hard for me to explain, really, actually, when I think about it, but I was so scared to talk to anyone ever that I had the same 3 friends for 18 years of my life. And now I'm 20 and I have 26 friends that are some of the best friends I've ever made just because I took one risk once. It's... Sorry, I'm getting like really emotional. It's worth it, and I know exactly how you feel, how scary it can be to just talk, to just step forward and try to make new friends and everything, to do something new. It's really easy to sort of stick yourself in the norm and hold yourself back because you don't think you can do it, but you can do it. I guarantee you can. I have faith in you, and I know plenty of other people out there do. People will listen to you, people will care. It's just a matter of you taking the first step. No one's going to do it for you, and it's the hardest step, the first step, because it's the start. once you get over that initial fear, which is the worst thing ever, it's like climbing Everest, it's a lot easier, I've noticed. Yeah, it's like you sort of get the wheels turning, if you know what I mean. Like, once you start talking, it gets a lot easier to keep talking. So it's really just a matter of putting yourself out there, no matter what anybody else has to say about you. It's what other people think of you does not matter. Mm-hmm. In the end of the day, it is what you think of yourself.
Exactly.
I just had something to add on the being afraid of talking to people because of how you think they might see you or think about you. Something that's helped me because I used to be very self-conscious, and though I am much more an extrovert, I do still get social anxiety because I think I'm annoying people because I will just come up and talk and people are just like, yeah, that's where, so I'm on the opposite spectrum with that, but a saying I heard once that has helped me forever is, don't worry about what people think of you, because people rarely think of you. And that's true, because everyone else is worried about what other people are thinking about them, that they're thinking about themselves, the same way you're thinking about yourself, being afraid of what everyone else is thinking about. Don't worry, they're not judging you. They're not thinking about you because they're worried that you're judging them and thinking about them. And just keep that in mind. I don't know, that just makes me feel better. It kind of makes everyone on the same like playing field. So when you go up talk to them, they're probably just as terrified as you are. It's kind of like, you know, when they say spider, it's more afraid of you than you are of it. It's like that in social interaction.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a couple more physical things that you can do to sort of help yourself in these situations. There's one technique that I like to use a lot personally that will help you sort of calm down any sort of panic that you're starting to get. If you're starting to get like hard to breathe, you're starting to like get really shaky and everything, one of the best things you can do is take both of your hands and hold them in front of you and look at them and squeeze as hard as you can for 15 seconds and then just let go. And you can feel, like physically feel that sort of pressure wash away. And that helped me a lot. That's something that I still use because I still get some of these attacks. I still get very nervous when I'm talking to people. But it's really easy. And you don't even have to do it with your hands. I learned how to do it with my legs too. I just push my knees together really, really hard. Like if I'm at a dinner table and I'm having a hard time talking to someone, you can push your knees together really, really hard and then let go, and you feel literally all over you this pressure just release. And it's really calming, actually. Another physical thing is, this might sound like kind of cringy, but fidget toys help a lot. You'll probably notice I'll like reach down and start like rubbing my pants or bouncing my legs, and that's just because I'm nervous. But it's helping because I can focus all of that nervous energy into something else. I'm going to talk next about self-diagnosis. Self-diagnosis is not helpful to you or the people that you're trying to make friends with. It's more of a thing that you're holding yourself back with too. If you think you might have something, I strongly, strongly encourage you to go seek help. Any doctor will completely understand and will get you the help that you need as soon as possible. There's the suicide hotline, even if you're feeling like you just want to end it. There's tons of resources online. There's even anonymous chat rooms. Like socialanxiety.org actually has a chat room where you can go in and just talk with someone else anonymously. They don't know who you are, and it's just text. And when you're done, you just close out of the tab or whatever, and it's gone. It's just numbers now. And self-diagnosis is something a lot of people use, in my opinion, as an excuse for getting help. If you're scared to get help, because I know it can be really scary, talk to someone you really, really trust, and they will help you. I know I started out by telling my mom a lot of the things that I had been feeling because it had just gotten really, really bad. And my mom's one of my best friends on the planet, so I felt like I could talk to her about it. So when I did, she actually came back to me a week later and said, I have a bunch of appointments for you with a bunch of different psychologists. After the first meeting, if you don't like any of them, we won't do it again. And that's how I realized a lot of the stuff that I had, and it helped me overcome it a lot, because they are professionals and they are there to help you. And a lot of them will work with you financially as well. There's financing programs to help you where you can pay off like a year at a time, or even like a sort of monthly subscription sort of thing. It's like Netflix for your feelings. But there are people there to help you. And it's really hard to get that help. But no one's going to help you if they don't know how. I know it's scary, but it's needed. And if you don't want to do it yourself, there are people who care about you. Your parents likely care about you. You probably have some really, really close friends who care about you more than anyone else in the world, and they will help you. No matter what you do, there is someone there. I guarantee it.
I was just gonna say, if you're ever feeling like you just like need to talk, even if you're not in a mindset where you want to end your life or anything like that, you can still call the suicide help hotline, because they will just listen. They will just sit there and talk to you, and sometimes it's just very helpful. There's other sites, I don't know if it was the one that you mentioned, but if you look up just like someone to talk to, there are quite a few sites of people that are just there to talk to you if you're having a rough time, and it's anonymous and things like that. So, but yeah, don't think that, you know, oh, and I'm not suicidal, but I feel like I'm going crazy and I need someone to talk to and let my feelings out. If you don't have someone, you can call the suicide hotline. They're not gonna like hang up on you. Oh, you're not suicidal, never mind, click. So, and they're very nice. You know, they'll sit and they'll talk with you, and they'll help you as much as they can. So, I just want to let you know that.
Yeah. Bottling up your feelings in any way, shape, or form, whether you're angry or sad or anything like that, is one of the worst things you can do. You know, you never want to hang on to something like that at all. If you need something to say, you want to express yourself, find someone that you can talk to about that, because you don't want to hold any of that stuff in, whether it be someone on the suicide prevention hotline, someone you trust very well, a parent, a guardian, one of your closest friends, your brothers, anything like that at all. It's just something very important that you never hold on to something like that, because it can drain you, it can damage you, because you end up pending up these emotions so often that you become irritable and you don't focus on things as much, and you realize that you're causing your own problems. So you should never, ever hang on to something like that if you have something to say.
I'm going to move on to questions, but before that, for everyone in this room that actually has social anxiety or any sort of mental handicap, illness, or disability, I am incredibly proud of you for being here, because this is a big step. Yeah. Seeking help, even if it's just in a panel, is amazing.
And like we said in the beginning, I mean, if you look around, everyone in this room is probably feeling very similar to you. And if you're looking for a support group and people who you might be able to find to talk about things with, we're all here for the same reason. We're all at this panel, first off, because of social anxiety, and we're all at this convention because we're all furries. You already have something in common with everyone in this room. So, I mean, look to your neighbors, look to people. You'd be surprised. You might find that your best friend in the entire world, your soulmate, so to speak, not even in a romantic sense. Daichi's my soulmate in the platonic sense. And might be sitting in this room like a row away from you right now, and you know, you might find them. Just take that step and be like, hey, I like your suit, or hey, you know, I like your shirt or whatever, and just start a conversation. Because you know what? I remember this in elementary school, and I'm sure like everyone learned this, but like, the people in this room are like praying someone is going to come up to them and just start conversation. And almost everyone that you see is hoping someone is just going to come up and start conversation, because they really want to meet people and make friends. That's why a lot of us are at the convention in the first place. And they're just going to sit there and wait. And then everyone else is sitting there and waiting for someone to come up. And if you're the one that takes the first step, they're going to be like, oh my God, someone came up and talked to me. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. So don't be so afraid. And if they don't respond, you know what? That's just how it is. Move on. It's not you, it's them. And it's really true. It's not you,
Yeah.
it's them. It's really them.
And with that, are there any questions or comments or concerns? Yes.
I just want to comment. I only recently started going to like furry stuff IRL in like October, and I've had mad social anxiety throughout all my life. And through the fandom, I've been able to really work fast and build confidence with talking to people. Because it's like you guys mentioned earlier, you already have something really big in common, you know, and really just that attitude of just saying, screw it, I'm gonna sit over there and I'm gonna talk with people. Like, it can really help you overcome that, you know, and really help that build self-esteem and confidence and stuff, you know.
Yeah, go you, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Just hold it for a second. So I just want to test this out. Raise your hand. This is your first time being at Megaplex. Awesome. You guys
Wow.
really took the first step.
Woo!
Wow.
Raise your hand. This is your first time participating in anything furry fandom related or furry community related. There you go. You guys have already taken the steps necessary to meet the people that you know you'll bond with and you're able to be outwards with about yourself and who you are. So you guys should be incredibly proud about that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Definitely. You guys are in the same boat.
You
Talk
guys
to
are in the
each
same
other.
boat. Yes.
Got a couple comments on what you guys were saying. And I've seen psychiatrists and I've talked to them. And I asked them what their goal is, and their goal is always the same. To make you normal. And I want you all to think about that. And I want you all to say, what the hell is normal anyway? Okay? And if you ask a psychiatrist, they cannot give you a definitive answer as to what normal is. So we are all normal, no matter what you are. And I think the Scottish poet, and I won't say it in the Scottish language, but his name was Robert Burns, he put it best: the greatest gift that givers can give us is to see ourselves as others see us.
That was deep. Yes.
Okay, so I kind of dug myself into a hole here. At one point, let's frame this as a hobby I'm into. I found out that there's a lot of people in Jackson, Mississippi that was also really into this hobby. And I go there and I enjoy, you know, it's wargaming, it's miniatures. I go there and have a lot of fun. Two elitists baited me into becoming a grumpy, competitive asshole, and I just washed all my friends down the drain. I've been trying to get back into it. So basically I crawled out of the hole, but I just dumped myself back in. I'm trying to be cordial and nice and make new friends as they arrive in the gaming community. But it's really hard because the two elitists and everyone I scorn sitting in the off to the left or the right, and some of them I used to really, really respect, and I wish I could reconnect with them, but they don't respond to anything I say. And it chokes, it just really chokes me when I see them. So, I don't know. What would you do in that situation?
It's basically where your reputation precedes you. Is that what
Yeah.
you're basically like, how to overcome a bad reputation?
And like,
Takes a
when I
while.
became a grumpy jerk because I was baited, that is not who I am. That's something that was drug out of me by two people who just figured out my buttons real quick.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that happened, man. That sucks. But in that sort of situation, I would pull the two people aside in person, and I'd address that with them first. And if they respond negatively, I would basically just go tell them to screw themselves.
Yeah.
We've gotten to that stage.
Okay. Yes.
What on that?
Comedy always works well to a degree, especially if you can kind of roll with it.
Right.
Next time you're at the next game, time that you're in the gaming hall,
Uh-huh.
bring a custom shirt.
Right.
Ask me about, what's your name by the way?
Edward.
Ask me about old Edward. Let's play.
Right.
It's really simple. I mean, someone's going to eventually be looking at it going, what's this all about? You can just lay the history on the table and go, this is how it was.
Right.
I wanted to come back and have some fun. Let's play.
Yeah. By the way, the game is Warhammer 40K, so if I hadn't dumped all my money in that, I'd probably have a fursuit by now.
Maybe a car and a house.
Yeah.
Like most of us. Well, if ever anyone's into Warhammer 40K, you got a new friend in the room.
Another
I
thing.
found out my boyfriend is, he's at our camp right now, but hit me up after.
All right.
Okay.
Sure.
in the very sense, in a lot of different social orders and cliques, sometimes someone builds a negative reputation due to an incident in one form or another.
Right.
You know, myself, by the way, is anyone under 18 in here?
Yeah, Emma.
And Emma. Okay, fine. I was a grump.
2 or 3.
In a different way. Yeah, it was. But it's one of the things that, in those social dynamics, if you get the reputation of being the village a-hole, sometimes you got to work against it, and sometimes you may actually just want to poke the joke at him. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
But then also put the spit shine on it and work from it there. It's very often hard when you have the deep-rooted members that will always pick that. You remember 5 years ago when he farted in the elevator? But it is one of those things that you do just kind of do the damage PR control and work forward on it.
Well, the only way, well, no, the next, and this is real short, because this has happened, I stopped going to the game hall for 2 months. And the shop owner's like, man, you need to come back, because, and in the back of his head is like, because you're my biggest spender.
Have you ever considered painting one what's the smaller division in Warhammer?
What, all right, so they have the little guys.
Well, the troop formation is what I'm talking
Troop
about.
formation? A squad?
Squad, battalion.
Yeah, squad.
Now, have a Hello Kitty squad.
Oh, you know what? I'll do you one better. I have an Imperial Knight I'm painting. It's a robot. I was going to paint it up like rose quartz.
Hi.
There you go. But I mean, that'll show that sort of a sense of humor and whimsy, and who knows?
Right.
Yeah, it can be.
You may want to use your shopkeeper or mutual friends to approach your old friends that you lost,
Right.
and do the groundwork to help smooth things out. It might not happen overnight, but these are people. Shopkeeper, everyone meets in his shop to play the game. They're going to listen a little bit more to maybe him or some of the other players that are really, popular, and let them help smooth things out and build for, just build your way back out. You may not, get 2 or 3 on your side and just build from there.
On that quickly, I was just gonna say, it's all about just proving that that's not who you are anymore. And like this scenario, maybe you hear a newer player or a younger player that needs advice or something, offer advice, not be like, I know what to do, and let me show you, but just like, hey, if you ever need help or anything like that, and then you can rebuild your reputation as the guy that's willing to help everyone no matter what level they're at or anything like that, because that'll show, that this man is about the game. This man, he enjoys it, and he enjoys people that play with him. And I think it's just going to take a while to fix that reputation, and just don't be around those 2 people, man, that ruined it for you. Just be like, I'm not associated with them anymore, and this is what I do now.
Right on.
Yeah, one of the big things is you don't need them. Just by being you, there's bound to be someone that's going to like you. It's just a matter of starting from the ground, which can be really hard and daunting, and slowly just building yourself up. It's going to be a process, and it's going to be very hard, but it's going to be very worth it in the end. Yes?
Okay, so I would tell you, you are the people you keep.
Right.
You become them. So if they're assholes, then, well, if you let them back in your life and they haven't changed, and won't, if you let them in with any capacity, you're probably going to start, falling into the same patterns you were before. So you're probably better off without them. So if you want to reconnect, try to like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The most I'm going to want out of these 2 is for them just to be cordial at a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they can't, then that's on them.
Ashley?
Okay, so I came into this fandom because my boyfriend was in the fandom, and I have really bad social anxiety, so it's very no one will like me. And I can say, at least in this room alone, I have 10 friends like me, so.
We love you. You're the best.
I mean, with Ashley, she is one of our closest friends that we have here. You'd be surprised what you can bring into this fandom and who you can bring in to help you out. Like my brother over there, when I got over my social anxiety, he ended up coming to our group as well. Though technically he's not a furry, he's a lamp, but that's an entirely different story another time. But you'd be surprised, how many people you can bring with you to overcome their anxieties and their concerns about what people think about them, and just hang out with folks and have fun.
Over here in the white collar, I saw your hand raised.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I felt very anxious, even not just socially, but about myself and how I interact with people. But I met these two on Friday, and they're now like my best friends.
There you
so
go.
this is great.
Awesome.
See, that's awesome. Go you. I'm proud. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that. What I did in high school was I found whoever else was feeling the most awkward in the room, and I bonded with them because I was like, you know what?
I'm awkward too. You're awkward too. This is great.
Let's be awkward together.
Yeah, that's another awesome way to meet new people. There's a lot of people, like I said, that'll feel the same way as you. So if you find someone else who you see sort of sitting on their own, maybe if you're an artist and you see someone drawing alone, sort of isolated, go over and say, hey, I really like that. Can I see some more of your stuff? And if they say, yeah, just start showing them some of your stuff too. You can really sort of feed off of each other like that. Finding someone who is in sort of the same situation that you're feeling is an awesome way to bond because instantly you've already got something in common.
And then you have people like Argon that collects awkward people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert collector.
He is actually. He pulls a lot of introverted people together and makes them a little more extroverted.
He finds them all. They're his children.
Yeah, he gets them very drunk.
Give
away my secret.
But are there any other questions?
More of a comment.
Yes.
Something.
Oh.
Oh, wait. You first and then you.
We're from the Jackson, Tennessee area. We recently took a little bit of a leap of faith to connect with some of the furs in Nashville. Went to a meet like 2 weeks ago. Before then, we were planning on coming to Megaplex, but then some financial stuff came up and we couldn't. Then one of the furs in the Nashville fur group had let us know that they had a room, but 2 people couldn't make it that were previously going to go, and they were still going to have to pay their share. And we just kind of took it in for took their spot because they were cool with it. And now we're at our first con, being able to try and take the next step on making more friends.
Very good.
So you guys actually know me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm from Philadelphia, and I was recently diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. Basically, I wanted to actually be here. A lot of things you said just resonated. A lot with packing from con, I actually threw up. I was so nervous because I haven't talked to some of the guys for 3 months, 4 months at a time, because of my own issues. But I just want to say, it sucks. It hurts, and you're gonna puke. It's gonna be terrible. But at the end of the day, like, I couldn't be happier than I am right now. I'm thrilled that I came here. So it's all about taking that step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go you guys. You two.
Yeah.
3 of you. Yeah, awesome.
I kind of equate like
The discomfort of getting out of your comfort zone and like talking to someone that you're scared to talk to, or just going to a meet that's terrifying, you don't know anyone, things like that. You guys ever like go to swallow a drink and you swallow it wrong and it just is painful and you're like, ugh, and then usually it goes down the wrong way and then you're choking afterwards and you're like, ugh. That's pretty much exactly like what I equate it to. That's kind of how it feels. But you know what? You survive. You don't die. You cough. It's kind of scary. It's
You just
whatever.
breathe.
And then you just breathe, and then it's okay. Sometimes you throw up. You know, that's all right. That's all right. I get like ultra anxious packing. Packing was like I was stressing about it for a week, so I know how you feel. And so it's like, oh god, I'm gonna forget something.
Like, I was
Oh
like,
my god.
I should cancel, I shouldn't cancel, I should not go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, you just like you take the breath, the breathing technique Mac was talking about, where you breathe in really deep, hold it. I hold it for like 10 seconds actually myself, and then let it back out slowly. That helps me a lot when I'm like freaking out and getting overtime. I'm like, and I just hold my breath, because you know what? When your body's like, oh my god, you haven't breathed for a while, we really need breath. You're not gonna worry about anything else but breathing, and it's actually quite relaxing.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
Yeah. So.
When I was doing journals, I would write things down and then I would just burn them.
yes.
Yeah, I would shred them before too.
Yeah, I just like, I have a notebook that says in my hotel room.
Yeah, keeping a journal is an amazing way to help cope with this sort of thing. Putting your feelings on paper. Yeah, putting your feelings out on paper and just being able to actually see them there is an awesome way for you to sort of understand them yourself and overcome them. But are there any more questions? I'll do Jack's first. Okay, Tim first.
Now, I just wanted to kind of share a metaphor. A lot of people, yes, I actually do have my shoes tied together.
Proud.
It's in our everyday lives, we often think about a lot of different things. You got your day-to-day activities. You got what everyone said to you, what they think they're talking about you, and then you have your insecurities with your shoes tied together. And with that in mind, you've got to keep track of your day-to-day life. You don't got to carry that around. With your insecurities, you can stand there and work with what you got. You can try to shuffle around. Or say, screw it. It's not going to matter tomorrow. It's not. Making that step sometimes is scary. But when you finally liberate it out where you can make a full step, it's all new adventure.
That was awesome.
That's my Pepsi.
I also had I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect you to pull out a knife. I was like, all right. But yeah,
Kill your anxiety.
if that's all anyone has to ask, oh yeah, Jax.
Okay, it's not really a question. I just want to let I used to be really bad. Like, I couldn't talk to anybody. The first con I went to, I hid behind my friend. Thankfully, he was taller than me. He was like 6'6" and wider than me, so I'm just like, I'm enjoying this is fine. But one of my friends, that he introduced me to, she's probably one of my best friends now. It was not an easy introduction into like, here, just talk to these people, they're really friendly. It was more like she took me and just thrust me into it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the best ways to do it. Just don't think about it and just go.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to react really. She was like, this is Jax, here you go. And I had to like, what do I do? And they're talking to me, I don't know what to say. But I had a shell and she basically took like sledgehammers, like,
Yeah.
smashed it to pieces.
Most definitely. I remember being in Megaplex 2016 was actually me and Lamb's very first FurCon, very first anything, and we kept to ourselves. But at that time, I was actually talking to Molly via Furzu, when that was so relevant. But I was so nervous about interacting with her. I would see her and her sister Tater walking around in suit, like, do I approach them? Do I do anything about that? No, I kept keeping my guard up and staying with my brother. And it wouldn't be until after that fact, after the con, is when we actually bothered to break down that wall and go out and see them for real. And now, every Megaplex we have someone we can hang out with. So it does pay to let your guard down, let people in.
And if nobody else has any questions, comments, or concerns, I want to thank you guys for coming. It means a lot to me that you are here. And if you have anything you want to talk to me about personally, I'm more than happy to listen and help. And I'll be here for at least, oh, Derek, you have something to say.
Sorry, I know the last second is where the end, but it takes me a little while to start talking. But I just wanted to say something, and I'm totally going to butcher it, I know for a fact. But I read a quote, like, I think 4 or 5 years ago, before I left my home and my family and everything to leave a bad situation that I was in to get to something better. But for me, the quote was, in the general sense, was, I gave myself permission to feel because I know that I'd be okay in the end. And that was a problem that I faced a lot, where I didn't give myself permission to feel what I needed to feel and to actually go from one part of an emotion to the very end of it so that I could finish it. When I kind of just like rehashed the same emotions over and over again, and I got myself stuck where I was. So you have to give yourself permission to feel all that bad gunk, the nastiness, to be able to flush it out of your system. You can't be afraid of it, because when you get afraid of it, that's when you get stuck where you are. And you have to give yourself permission to be able to move through, and it really ends up being your own decisions and choices. So
that was awesome. I like that quote a lot now. Go him. Yeah, give him a round of applause. That was sweet. But yeah, with that, if nobody else has any questions, comments, or concerns, I'll be around the con. I'll be up here for a little bit afterwards. I'll be at the art jam. I'll be at the Agents of Mirth table, table 16, right next to Lemon Brat, all day tomorrow, basically. Yeah, this is my suit. You'll be able to find me around. I'm more than happy to talk with you guys. I'm more than happy to help you as much as I can because I really do care. I want everyone to feel happy and I want everyone to feel confident. So
literally come up to any of us.
yeah, any of us.
Especially
so,
me. I never shut up.
Thank you guys for coming.
If you don't want to worry about social anxiety, just talk to me.